All right, we are in our last chapter of Junie B and the Mushy Gushy Valentine. So in our last chapter, she was trying to figure out who her Valentine was, or who sent her the beautiful Valentine, by asking all of the boys in the class, and she couldn't figure out who it was. So we're going to see if she can figure it out in our very last chapter of the book. This is chapter 8, Who Knew? Pretty soon, the bell rang for recess. I hurried over to my friend Grace, because maybe she would help me find my secret admirer. Both of us skipped outside to the playground. Then, all of a sudden, I stopped real fast, because I accidentally left behind my Valentine on the table, and I didn't want anyone to take that lovely thing. "Wait, Grace, wait right here, and I will be back in a jiffy," I said. After that, I ran my fastest back to room 9, and guess what? I spied that meanie Jim at my table, and he was picking up my beautiful card. "Hey, what do you think you're doing, mister?" I yelled real loud, and then I zoomed to my table zippity quick, and I yanked that card out of his mitts. After that, I started running to the door, but meanie Jim springed in front of me and held up his hands. "Stop," he yelled. "Don't take that Valentine outside. If you take it outside, you'll get it dirty." I made squinty eyes at that boy. "No, I won't get it dirty," I said back. "And anyways, this is not your beeswax, Jim." Jim stamped his foot. "Yes, it is too, my beeswax, Junie B. Jones," he yelled. "That card costed me a whole month's allowance, and I don't want you to get dirt on it." As soon as he said it, he quick put his hands over his mouth. But I already heard his words. I did a gasp. "You, Jim? You're the one who bought this card?" I asked. "Why? How come? Is it some kind of meanie boy joke?" Jim started sputtering a lot. No, I didn't buy that card. It just looks like it costed a lot of money, that's all. And whoever bought it spent his whole allowance, I bet." I kept on staring at that boy. "'Cause something smelled like fish here, that's why." "But if you're not the one who gave me that Valentine, then how come you're acting so funny, Jim?" I asked. "And how come your words are sputtery and nervous?" I said. "And how come your face is reddish and blotchish?" Just then, Jim clunked himself in the head. "Darn it, I knew I'd ruin it. I always ruin everything. Now everybody in room 9 will know that I like you, and I wanted it to stay a secret," he said. Then all of a sudden, my whole face felt happy. "You like me, Jim? You really like me? Because you never acted like you like me. And so since when did you like me?" "That's what I would like to know." Jim's face got a silly look on it. "I've always liked you," he said real quiet. "I just act like I don't like you so nobody will know that I like you." I looked confused at him. "But if you like me, then how come you always call me names?" I asked. Jim shrugged his shoulders. "Because you call me names," he said. I did a big breath. "Yes, Jim, I know I call you names, but that's because you started it first," I explained. "No, I didn't," he said. "You started it first." I shook my head. "No, Jim, you did," I said. "No, Junie B, you did," he said back. "No, you did. No, you did. No, you." All of a sudden, Jim raised his hand in the air, and he waved it all around. I called on him. "Jim," I said. "Maybe we both started at Junie B," he said. "Maybe we both started calling each other names on the very same day." Just then, I started to smile, because that would be fair of us, I think. After that, I skipped all around in a happy circle, on account of this was a nice development. I grabbed his hand. "Hey, Jim, let's go tell Mrs. that we're friends, want to? Because then she will get a kick out of this, probably," I said. But all of a sudden, Jim plopped down on the floor and said he wouldn't even budge. I stared and stared at the top of his head. "Okay, this doesn't actually seem like a good start for us, Jim," I said. He looked up at me. "I know," he said, "but I can't tell the teacher that I like you. I can't tell anyone. If I tell people, it will ruin everything." I wrinkled my eyebrows. "Everything like what?" I said. "Like all my friends will know I like girls, and that will be embarrassing," he said. "Plus, room 9 won't ever be the same again." I didn't understand. "Why, Jim? Why wouldn't it be the same?" I asked. "Because it will be dull and boring, that's why," he said. "Because if you like me and I like you, then I won't get to tease you anymore. And if I don't tease you, then you won't tease me back. And that means you won't shout out silly stuff at me that makes people laugh." He rocked back and forth on his feet, very bashful. "You make room 9 sparky," he said, kind of quiet. After that, he smiled very cute, and he poked my arm with his finger, and he made a sparky sound. "Zzz," he said. "Zzz, zzz." I laughed very loud, and I sparked him right back. "Zzz, zzz," I said. And so guess what? Me and that silly guy started chasing each other all over room 9, and we kept poking and sparking. and it was the funnest game I had ever heard of. Only too bad for us, because all of a sudden we heard a noise at the door. Oh no, it was Mrs. She caught us in the room. "Hey, what's going on here?" she said. "You two are supposed to be on the playground." Me and Jim stopped very fast. Then Jim looked nervous at me, because he was afraid that I would tell his secret, I think. All of a sudden, I pointed at him kind of mad. "It's his fault, Mrs.," I said, "because Jim poked me and it made a sparky sound. And then I had to poke him back and make a sparky sound too. Only he couldn't let that be the end of it, so pretty soon we were chasing and sparking and chasing and sparking. Only just now you came in the door, and so the chasing and sparking is over, apparently. And so we will just be on our way to the playground, I believe." I tapped on her. "Pardon me while I get by," I said, very polite. Miss rolled her eyes way in the back of her head. "Honestly, you two, it's Valentine's Day," she said. "Can't you get along for just one day?" After that, she took us by our hands and she marched us outside. We waited for her to leave. Then he looked at me kind of shy. "You did good," he said. "Thank you for not telling my secret." I smiled at that nice boy. "That's okay. Thank you for my mushy-gushy Valentine," I said back. After that, I faced his eyeballs, and I said, "Wink, wink, Jim. Wink, wink, wink." And guess what? Jim pointed his eyeball right back at me, and he winked very perfect. After that, we runned off to play with our friends, or else someone might think we like each other, and that would ruin everything. That's how come I never told anybody about Jim's secret, not even my bestest friend, Lucille and Grace, because Meanie Jim is the bestest secret admirer I ever had. And guess what else? Room 9 is still staying sparky. Zzz. And there is Junie B and Jim walking back out to the playground. So in the end, we figured out that Jim was just being mean to Junie B because he liked her, which isn't a very nice thing to do.